Hi guys, we are live with today's episode. So what happened is that Thursday is going to be a little bit busy, and here we have the guest. Let's just invite him in. Let's see. Invite for today's episode. He is the guest. Yes, we have started. Hello. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
So we are live. So there was no testing because I didn't have the opportunity to test it. So that means we are on the air, but I hope that's okay with you to start a few minutes early.
No problem.
Oh, great. Can you hear me good?
Oh, loud and clear. That's no problem.
Okay, great. I'm just going to put this on the stand so I don't have to hold it. So now we're ready. Okay, thank you so much for joining us today, Rishiji. You are based in
Stavanger.
Stavanger.
Yeah.
Yes. And as you told me, and as I wrote in the caption, you came to Norway in 1974.
Yeah, I was 4 then.
Yeah. And so could you tell us a little bit about yourself, about your upbringing in Stavanger?
Well, as a Indian parents and as a second generation Indian, I'm sure those of you who have experienced it know what I'm talking about, and those who don't will never understand. But that's another thing.
Correct. Correct.
So I gather you are also a second generation Indian.
Yes, I am born here, in fact. I never lived in India per se, but I've been to India a lot, and I totally agree with you that it is a very unique experience to have parents from another background growing up in Norway. So, and now you are in politics.
Well, kind of. It's just local politics, so it's nothing extremely serious. But yes, I like to. Yeah, I'm interested in politics.
That's amazing. I think it's great. I think any politics, I mean, at least you are doing this service to community and you being our voice. So that's a huge thing. I don't think you should undersell it. I think it's important to remember if you have said yes to be in the list for local elections, that's a huge thing. And being an Indian, we can connect to you, being a Desi or other who are from Asia also will be able to see themselves in you. So you are an important voice. So tell us a little bit about the issues that you are going to front, because I know that most Indians living either in Stavanger or in Oslo are facing the same challenges when it comes to education. So what are your thoughts around education?
Well, I see that a lot of Indians have come in the past 5, 10, 15 years, and they are highly educated, come to good jobs, and they are very fixated around English and English medium, and they're all sending them to English schools or English-speaking schools. And what my big concern is that they haven't really got all the facts. They haven't looked at all the facts. Mostly they are influenced by their friends, of course, but it's like an echo chamber. So kind of it's new thoughts don't break into the community. It's like a small group that is just talking to one another. And I think parents should seek advice outside the Indian community. For example, the HR where you work could be a good starter. Friends, family who are not Indian, and try to kind of come to a more balanced view on the topic.
Okay, so going back to the thing that you said about English medium, because even though I was born here and my parents actually sent me to like ordinary public school here, I still went to English medium school in Oslo, because the thought was that I will be able to, study further in England. But when I, as an experienced person, could compare them both, I have to say that the English medium to some extent, had a higher quality, had a bigger, what do you call it, much more pressure, which is not good always, but for those kids who are overachievers, or the kids who are very good in their subjects like math and physics and so on, they have a better, I think, a better platform than in Norwegian schools. So how come you are now telling people to go more for the Norwegian schools, the public schools?
Well, I think you're very correct in the fact that academically speaking, the English schools are better, even here in Stavanger, especially when before we go to school, in the primary age. And the reason is that those schools are primarily having students from very good backgrounds. So you normally get a very good environment.
Yeah.
But having said that, there is a lot more to education than academic performance. I mean,
that's right.
You go to school to learn to live a good life, to get a good job, and to fit into the society. What are you going to do with academics without all of this? That's the whole purpose. And
yeah,
and unfortunately, what people do not realize is that a school, a lot of the Indian kids, unfortunately, they do not, even after living here maybe all their lives, 18 years, they hardly speak any Norwegian. They are then going to universities abroad, which were always their dream. But then suddenly you find yourself, okay, fine, you're just an immigrant there. You're the last person to be selected out there, because some of the Indians, or many of the Indians, do fantastic at school, and that is great. I mean, you're an 8th grader, you go to Cambridge, MIT, no problem. But if you're a hardworking student, mid grades, it's not that easy. And those countries reject you, and then you don't have too much time to kind of take a small job because you don't have a base there. And if you're forced to come back here in Norway, and that is also a challenge, because in Norway even you stand back.
We're losing you. The sound. If you can come a little bit closer, maybe. Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, but much better.
So you see, and this can put kids in a very unfortunate situation.
Okay, so yes, I hear what you say. So yes, our Indian parents are very focused on the academical levels, and there are huge differences. I do get your point when it comes to integrating in the Norwegian society. And I know of experience, if you have taken your education in Norway and you speak fluent Norwegian, your opportunities for job at higher level, are easier, because I don't believe that, or I haven't faced it so much that my name has had any problem. Richa Chandra is very Indian, but that has never stopped me from getting the jobs that I wanted. It was always because I was born here, I had that opportunity easier, and because I speak fluently in Norwegian, and I think you have a point there. But when it comes to integration, you will also mention the point that instead of just keeping to the Indian community, and the children not having Norwegian friends and network, there are a lot of bullying happening too. In the Norwegian society, it's a lot. I hear that always. I experienced it myself, but I always hear that children are being bullied. We're not done with it. But in English medium schools, it's less of it, because everybody is from different countries and they have different backgrounds. I experience much more tolerance between the students there. So what are your take on that?
Well, I think you're quite right there. Maybe it's easier to be accepted in a more multicultural environment, even though some schools here are that, and vice versa. If you do experience that your kid is being bullied, and that's not just because of Indian, bullying is around everywhere, even in India,
everywhere,
much
yes.
more bullying than here. Then one of the options that you should look at is pulling that kid out of that school and putting into another school, even if it's a Norwegian school. Another option that also you should look at is putting them into sports activities where they do not have to go around those kids who are bullying them, so that they can build up their mental kind of strength
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah.
So, but you are right. But I don't believe that bullying don't happen in. I think bullying happens in all type of schools.
Yeah.
No matter what.
Yeah.
And it's a problem. But I think that Norwegian schools, at least when I was on the board of a local school here, that was like our top priority. It was get away with bullying, making sure that the kids like to be at school, they want to be at school, and they enjoy school. And being Indian, with the Indian set of mentality that was put into my head, that you're born lazy, you're born nikamma, and you have to be forced to work.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of changed my mind after that. I think it's all about finding joy in what you do, because that's when you get fantastic. And when you see the performance of Norwegians and Norway in general, you see that thing is there. I mean, compared to the work culture you have here to other places, people want to stay here just because of the work culture. So even if you're a foreigner, you will be treated very well, very humane. If you're sick, there's no one asking you twice. You just call, I'm sick today, sorry. Nobody's going to say anything. Where do you get that kind of atmosphere thing? And the income level is good.
I'm sorry, I'm cutting you off because we have a comment here or a question from a viewer. Do you think changing schools is the only solution I believe that is in relation to being bullied. If your kid is being bullied, do you think changing school could be the only solution, or do you have others as well?
Well, I mean, the first thing you should do is try to mitigate it, speak to the school, speak to the teacher. But it's very hard to break up those kind of social things. And I assume that one has gone through that before putting this question online. And if nothing else, please don't let it happen. Pull the person out and try another school. It could help. Get a new set of friends.
Yeah. And another comment is, I must add that dynamics in Stavanger is different than in Oslo. Yes, I believe so. They are different other places, but I believe that the bullies everywhere. Like Rishi said, you will find bullies in Stavanger, you will find bullies in Oslo, you will find bullies anywhere. So I guess I like the way you are thinking about it, but also for the child's sake, I think it's a good thing to pull them out of that school and try another school so they can reinvent their identity. So once they're labeled, it's very difficult for a child to relabel or define themselves. But I want to touch again on the comment that you had earlier about integrating, because you see often that, or do you see often that Indians tends to stick together? Is it that what you meant earlier, or?
There's nothing wrong with sticking around. What is wrong is when you cannot relate to some other culture, the culture that you live in. That's when you have a problem. So yeah, I mean, most of people I spend my spare time now is with Indians. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I can always switch. I can always speak to my neighbors. I have that possibility. I'm not locked in that sense. And that is
but I believe in the meeting in Oslo, there was another politician who mentioned that Indians in Norway are one of the groups that are most integrated, and we are the community that actually gives back the most to the country. I mean, in terms of holding good jobs, higher studies, paying taxes, we are not that much related to crime. So, but you are saying that we are not that integrated. That's what you're saying?
Economically, we are better off than the average Norwegian. Okay, so we don't like to talk too much about it because it could give us a backlash, but that's a fact. Okay. So of course we pay more taxes. We have less crime because we have money. We're the nice migrants or labels, whatever you want. The fact of the matter is, integration, no, we are not integrated into the Norwegian society. Even Syrians around here, sorry, I should mention nationalities, that came out of my mouth, but even refugees and asylum seekers, after living a few years here, speak more Norwegian than the average Indian does here. And
Yeah.
that speaks volume, because that's how it is. Culturally, we have a way to go, and this can give a backlash the day we don't have a job.
Deepika's comment to that is there is difference between Indians from the 70s and the recent immigrants. I don't think so. I actually believe that, especially the immigrants in Oslo, who are working immigrants, they also tend to stick together. They also tend to, and because in the beginning they are here for a shorter period of time, they think they are here for 2 or 3 years. They don't tend to involve themselves so much with Norwegian, which is my experience. They seek out more Indians. But I might be wrong, but this is my perception. I don't think there is actually that much difference. I think we who are second generation here, we are definitely much more integrated because we were forced to go in public schools and we had a lot of Norwegian friends. I believe we are more integrated. But those who are arbeidsimmigranter or working immigrants, I don't think they have still, I think they're facing the same challenge as our parents were.
Yeah, I mean, the people that work here in Stavanger are this is a bit different from Oslo because they're all professionals, all of them. So they came here, they often had a job, a flat, everything lined up for them. They had their company fixed their immigration things, so it's a completely different world than like my parents came here, where they had to do and start from scratch. You can't compare those two things.
Yeah.
But there's another thing I wanted to speak about, which I think is equally important. That is the mental health, well-being of people. Norway has a harsh climate. And it's very important to be socially engaged, to have something to do, to have a hobby. And fortunately, we have a lot of societies and culture going on. And my request to all of you who are listening is be generous with those who run these societies and spend their spare time. Remember, it's their spare time. Because unfortunately, we often hear about complaining in these societies, a bit of politics. Take them as defense. Take them in defense, those who are trying. And don't expect a professional product. Because these societies are very important for the mental well-being and also for the children to understand the society and the culture of India.
Yeah, amazing. That is a very heart-touching and very important message that you touch upon right now. That most of my parents' generation, they have worked hard all their life, and they are now pensionists, and they always try to build the community. But it has Corona has been hard for many of them. And instead of criticizing or being hard toward them, maybe help them keep on building and be a part of the society, because it's not just the elderly who are suffering from mental health, also our young youth, the next generation, they also thought it was pretty tough to be locked in. So I hear you. That's very, very important. So these are the issues that you are fronting. And so everybody who's living in Stavanger and has the opportunity to vote in the local elections, do vote. Use your vote and connect with amazing people like Rishi. And he is probably, how can we reach you? How can public reach you to keep on having this conversation? Because what you have told today is amazing, and maybe people have more questions. How can we reach you?
Well, Facebook is the thing. So just send a message. Most people know me, at least a lot of people know me here around here. So anyone, if you, especially when it comes to school and kids, because it's the future of our children, I always give time. I always prioritize that work in front of everything else because it's close to my heart. The other thing which is really, which we're trying to do in this election is to gather enough support so that we can build a big cultural center where all the
Wow.
societies get the infrastructure to conduct the events, because
Wow.
that is very important to have a space, because we are running out of space in the Bydelshus, and that is a first priority. And talking about mental health, I just have to mention this. A lot of people think, it's something that happens to old age or weak or blah blah blah, but it's happening to kids. It's happening to people all ages.
Yeah.
Some people blame it on Facebook or social media, whatever. I don't know, but the fact of the matter is, it's a big problem. And look for weak signs in your kid. We have never had such a high suicide rate amongst children as we have today. It's a very serious topic.
Mm.
Never push your kid too hard, or at least know what you're doing. I mean, you need to push your kid to a certain extent, but don't overdo it. Yeah.
No, I totally agree. You don't need to push them, but you can have expectations.
That's it.
Children thrive when the parents have expectations and they follow them up, and they don't feel alone. When you're pushing them, that means you are pushing them alone. If you are expecting something, you can hold their hand and say, "Hey, expecting you to, reach that goal. I'm with you." I think that's very important to distinguish. Do keep on expecting great things from your children, because that shows that you're involved, but don't push them. And that's why maybe Rishi is so fond of the public school in Norway, because they have an amazing way of teaching. They never push, and they let the kids be kids as long as they can. And that is one of the beautiful things about Norwegian schools that I have experienced rather than other schools. So yes, be more aware of the children and people around you. Thank you so much, Rishi. It has been amazing talking to you.
Thank you.
I hope you have gotten all the message across. If there are still anything, please let me know, and we'll talk again if you
I
want.
have tons of messages, but but it will take all evening. But thank you very much for arranging this. I really appreciate it. And
Thank you so
appreciate
much.
we.
This is in the collaboration with Innor Consultancy. So it is them we have to thank you. But again, people, vote. The election, well, we can advance vote. You can, you can use your vote already if you know who you're going to vote for. And if you're in Stavanger area, so vote for Rishi, because he will take your causes. He'll be your voice. So if there is anything, connect with him and let him speak for you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much.
Rishi, so much for joining us. Namaste.
Namaste. Namaste.